Welcome back to Work Past the Record, the podcast where we help people move beyond the barriers of a criminal record and build a future through meaningful employment, personal growth, and second chances. I'm glad you're here. If you have been following this series, we've talked about getting hired, making a strong first impression, and why the first 90 days on the job are so important. Those conversations matter because getting a job is often one of the biggest hurdles after incarceration. But today, we're going to talk about something just as important. Don't get stuck. Too many people work incredibly hard to get that first job, only to stop dreaming once they have a paycheck. They survive, they settle, they stop growing. If that's where your story ends, you're selling yourself short. Today's episode is about turning that first opportunity into a long-term career, because your first job should never become your final destination. I'm your host, Lori. Your first job is a starting line. Think back to the day you were hired. Maybe it felt like relief. Maybe you finally felt someone believed in you. Maybe it was the first time in years that you felt hopeful. That feeling is worth celebrating. But here's something I want you to remember. Getting hired isn't crossing the finish line. It's stepping onto the starting line. A paycheck solves today's problems. A career changes tomorrow. Many people become so focused on keeping a job that they forget to build a future. They clock in, they clock out. Weeks become months, months become years. Nothing changes except the calendar. Don't let that happen to you. Ask yourself, what do I want this job to prepare me for? Every position teaches something. Customer service teaches communication. Construction teaches teamwork. Warehousing teaches organization. Manufacturing teaches efficiency. Food service teaches working under pressure. Whatever job you have today is giving you skills that can open another door tomorrow. Your first job should pay your bills. Your next opportunity should build your future. How do you know when you've become comfortable instead of committed? Here are a few warning signs. You've stopped learning. You've stopped asking questions. You do the same thing every day without improving. You complain more than you contribute. You wait for someone else to notice your potential instead of developing it yourself. Those are signs that you've become stuck. Here's a challenge I'm going to propose to you. Ask yourself these questions honestly. What have I learned in the last 6 months? What new responsibility have I taken on? What skill do I have today that I didn't have when I started? If I had to apply somewhere else tomorrow, would I be more valuable than I was on my first day? These questions matter because employers reward growth. People who continue learning continue advancing. Remember, staying busy isn't the same as moving forward. What do we mean by that? We mean that every time an opportunity comes up for you to learn a new skill, a new part of the job, a different area in your job, jump at that. Apply for those promotions. Make your supervisor or your manager or the owner of the company see that you are worth taking a chance to move to the next step because you want to. Don't get stuck. Don't always be the grass cutter for the landscaping company. Learn the hardscaping part so you can maybe be the project manager. Maybe you can go out and do quotes. That's what it means. People who build careers don't wait for opportunities. They prepare for them. Volunteer to learn another position, as I just said. Ask your supervisor if you can cross-train. I tell my people that every time I get a new group in. While you're in the 90 days of training, cross-train. Learn as much as you can. Learn how different departments work together. Take notes. Ask questions. Listen more than you speak. Nature gave us 2 ears and 1 tongue for a reason. Find experienced employees and learn from them. Most people enjoy sharing what they've learned when someone genuinely wants to improve. Don't overlook free learning opportunities. There are online courses, certifications, workshops, and community college programs that can strengthen your skills while you're working full-time. Every new skill increases your value. Keep a list of your accomplishments. Did you improve attendance, learn new equipment, train another employee, receive positive feedback from a supervisor? Write it down. Those accomplishments become the stories you tell future interviews. Careers aren't built by accident. They're built one decision at a time. If you've ever been in an interview, and maybe you haven't, where they say name a time where you helped improve the company's productivity, you think back, that's why you write down those stories. Name a time when you helped someone that was struggling. That's why you write down those stories. You want to sell yourself to the next employer. You want to sell yourself in that next interview. Writing these things down, that's important. When you receive positive feedback from a supervisor, in my company, they give you a little award. Every company is different. Take a note of that. Hey, John Smith, the supervisor for line B, told me what a great job I'm doing. When you train another employee, keep track of that. When you learn new equipment, people learn all the time. Maybe you're in a place where there's a forklift. Learn the forklift. And as far as online classes, there are tons of free online classes that you can take. Coursera sometimes offers programs through grants with different companies where you actually get certified in AI essentials or project management. Those certifications make you worth more because you have the basic learning tools for that position. And then from there, you can grow. You can take that certification and move on to the next certification, then take it and move on to a college degree if you wanted to. Community colleges in some states offer free learning for first-time college students. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you have never been to a community college, they offer free college to you. 2 years, you can get a degree in something. If you don't have your GED, I suggest that you jump in and do that so that you can move on, because every single thing you do like that builds your resume. It builds your self-worth. A lot of people go into jobs with a high school diploma. Some come to me with not more than a 10th grade education and sometimes less. The first thing I do is say, are you interested in getting your GED or continuing your high school education? And we look at adult learning. There's plenty of adult learning in every city of every state and in small towns too, where you can at least get the knowledge you need to be able to get your GED, which is just as good as a high school diploma. And that's what people look for. And then look at the community colleges, look at a trade school, look at an apprenticeship. Those are all learning experiences. Don't let comfort become your ceiling. Comfort feels good, but comfort can quietly stop your growth. Sometimes people stay where they are because they are afraid. Afraid they'll fail, afraid they'll lose what they've earned, afraid someone will discover their past. Fear has kept more people from succeeding than lack of talent ever has. Growth always feels uncomfortable. Learning something new feels uncomfortable. Applying for a promotion feels uncomfortable. Speaking up in a meeting feels uncomfortable. Taking on more responsibility feels uncomfortable. That's normal. Growth stretches you before it strengthens you. Don't mistake comfort for success. Real success keeps moving forward. Sometimes I have to take on more responsibility in my job because my manager will ask me to do something and I feel a little uncomfortable because I'm like, he's the manager. I feel like I'm overstepping, but he's directing me to do it. I still do it. Once I do it, I'm fine. Learning something new always feels uncomfortable. When I was becoming an EMT, I was afraid that I would mess something up and hurt someone. I didn't. I learned it. Once I passed that state exam, I felt really good. When I went to be a paramedic, that was a whole different ball of wax. Learning that made me nervous. Having to interpret cardiac rhythms made me nervous. It still does. When I look at a monitor, I know what I'm looking at. I know what the heart rhythm is. But when you have to do it in a simulation lab, I would get nervous because I felt like I was being judged by it. What do you know? What don't you know? I would calm down after a while, but it sometimes took a little bit for me to get comfortable with being able to say, yeah, that's AFib. Oh, yep, that's a third-degree heart block. We can't treat that. Whatever. Learning something new always feels uncomfortable. It's the satisfaction you get after you master it that is the success part of it. What if you want to apply for the next level up from your job and you say to yourself, oh, I don't know if I know enough. I don't know if I'm good enough for that job. What if they tell me no? How am I going to do that? How am I going to supervise people if that's what the promotion entails? Well, you're never going to know if you don't try. So, yes, it may feel uncomfortable at the moment, but nobody's going to promote you and then not train you. Not at least in a good company. If you apply for a promotion, you need to be able to sell to the people that are interviewing you, whether it's a panel or a one-on-one interview, why you would make the best person for that promotion. Even if in your head you're doubting yourself and you're afraid, you still have to sell yourself. You can't show that fear. You have to be confident. Because as I said, no one's going to put you into a promotion without training you for what the job entails. Take on more responsibility. If they have something open, a position that maybe it doesn't offer a lot more pay, but it's a position that can help you with a promotion. Let's say it's to take care of the scrap metal at work and make sure that it gets put to the right place where it's going to be recycled. Let's say it is collecting the cash register bags at the end of the night and making sure that they all get put into the safe at the office. Take on that responsibility. You're going to be able to do it. And again, they're going to show you what you need to do, but showing that initiative of taking on more responsibility is what builds your career. Comfort is being at ease where you're at and never wanting to grow because you tell yourself in your mind, that's as far as you can go. That's the best you can do. When it isn't. We all have the potential for growth. All we need is the confidence to get there. Let's think beyond next week's paycheck. Where do you want to be in 5 years from now? Do you want to be a supervisor of a team? Do you want to become a trainer? Do you want to start your own business? Do you want to earn a professional certification? Do you want to go back to school? Own a home? Support your family in ways you never thought possible? Those goals don't happen overnight. They happen one decision at a time. Here's your challenge for this next 2 weeks. Write down one career goal. Write down one skill you need to reach it. Then identify one action you can take this week. Not next month, this week and next week, because I told you 2 weeks. Small steps repeated consistently become life-changing progress. Remember, your criminal record may always be part of your history. It does not have to limit your future. Every day you show up, learn something new, and improve yourself, you're improving that your past did not define your potential. When we're bringing people into my program, we ask them, what is your goal for the next year? Most of the time, it get my license because they don't have one, get my own place to live because they may be living in a transitional house or a shelter or with family, get a car, have a steady job with a good income. Those are basic needs, right? So their first step is they get a job with us, and that is a steady income coming in. Do they keep that job after the training period? Well, that depends on them. How hard are they working? Are they showing up every day? Are they making an impression on the manager? Does that manager want to keep them at the end of the training period? Obviously, they don't want to get stuck making a low income every pay period. But it's a start. It's better than zero income, and that's what I tell people sometimes. People will be like, "That's all it pays?" Well, what are you making right now in your current position? Well, I'm not working. Okay. So what we pay is paying you more than the $0 you're making every day, right? Well, yeah. Okay. You can't come out of incarceration or with a criminal record and expect to jump into a position making $25 an hour, even if you have a degree. If you have that criminal record behind you, that degree doesn't mean anything. If you have a degree in business management or finances or healthcare and you have felonies on your record, those are almost, you might as well forget it, right? Because until you get that behind you far enough or you get the charge expunged, you start from ground zero again. I have had nurses that I've known throughout my career who got in trouble for, I don't know, theft of narcotics. I've also worked with fellow paramedics that have gotten in trouble with that. They've lost their job, their licenses have been suspended. Well, when you go through the rehab and you get your life back on track and now you're ready to go back to work, what are you going to do? Because you can't get your nursing license back. You can't get your paramedic certification back in most cases. You can't work usually even as a nursing assistant, and sometimes you can't work in a hospital setting or a doctor's office setting at all because there's access to those same issues that you got in trouble for. Let's say you have a degree in business and you work or finance and you worked banking and you got in trouble for theft, credit card theft, burglary, embezzlement, any of those things. You now can't get a job back in those fields because nobody's going to trust you because of your background. So, taking a lower paying job may be your only chance to starting work again. It doesn't mean you're stuck there. It means that's where you start and you build from there and you prove to a future employer that you're trustworthy. You get to a point where maybe you can get that expunged off your record if it's an expungible offense. Maybe you slowly work back in to that career that you lost because of a mistake you made. And that's all it is. It's a mistake. And mistakes are made, and that's why pencils have erasers on them. Everybody makes them. It's how you correct the mistake as you go forward that makes the difference. That's what makes a future employer trust you. So, yes, you may have to start lower. You can't expect to walk into a job making $55,000 a year when you have 5 years of missing employment because you were incarcerated. 10 years, 20 years. You can't expect to walk in making that amount. I have people with 20 and 30 years of incarceration, freshly out of prison, who will jump at the chance to make even the minimum wage of $7.25 an hour just because it's a job and someone's willing to take a chance on them. So we don't want to get stuck there, but the goal is to make more money. So we ask, what is your goal over the next year? Then we ask the same question I just said, where do you want to be in 5 years career wise? Why do we ask that? Because those are measurable goals that people can work towards, one little step at a time. You can't expect to own a house, have a family, and be a business owner in and you say that's your 5-year goal and you think it's going to happen in a year. Not going to happen. It's one step at a time. It's patience. As I've said in every single episode, you have to have patience. You have to work towards those goals. You want to buy a house? Okay. How much money are you going to put away every time you get paid so you can have that towards the down payment? How are you going to build your credit back if it's been ruined? By yourself or by someone that stole your identity or used your identity while you were incarcerated? Those are all the things, the steps you need to take to do that. So I have people that will work for us and work another job because they want to build that faster. How about if you want to own a business? Let's say it's a landscaping business that you want to end up owning and you're working for a landscaper. Aren't you going to learn everything you can about how he runs that business, how he orders product, how he sets up accounts, how he set up his LLC? That's everything you want to learn. So yeah, you might be on the bottom of the totem pole, but you want to learn as much as you can while you're there so that you become a successful business owner in that 5 years. So your criminal history or your criminal record is always going to be part of your history, but it doesn't define who you are today, and it doesn't define who you're going to be in 5 years. Just always keep that in mind. I think people get hung up on, oh, if they see my record, I'll never get this. Or if they see my record, I'll never get that. You will. You have to have patience. It's one step at a time. So this week or over the next 2 weeks, as I said, I want you to identify one action you can take towards a skill you need to reach for a career goal. So if your career goal is within the next year, I want to be an assistant manager of a store because in 5 years, I want to be a district manager. Or in 1 year, I want to be a store manager. And in 5 years, I want to be a district manager. That's if you're in retail or a position that has that. What is one you need to learn to work towards that goal? Maybe it is scheduling. Maybe it is cash counting. Maybe it is running reports. Maybe it's communication. How are you going to do that to be able to work towards that goal? Are you going to take a professional communication class? Are you going to ask your manager, hey, could I start learning A? See what they say. Could I watch how you do the scheduling? The most that can happen is they say no. A good manager will say yes. Learn what you can. So this week, write down one goal. Next week, write down another skill. For the next 2 weeks, write down one skill each week. Keep doing that. And every time you master one of those skills, put a check mark next to it with a date. On August 15th, I learned how to schedule. Boom. August 15th, 2026, right next to scheduling. This will help you keep track and then practice those skills. Don't just learn it and then let it go. Learn it and then practice it. Do a fake schedule. Make up your own employees. Think about how you have to schedule and practice that. After a while, it just becomes habit and you don't even have to think about it anymore. That's what I do anyways. So that's your challenge for this week. Remember that goals don't happen overnight. They are not No, they're not time bound, but you time bound them by saying, this is what I want to do in the next year. This is what I want to do in the next 6 months. This is what I want to do in the next 5 years. That's time bound. You have a time set for the goal that you want to achieve. So what are the steps you're going to make to get there? Okay. Thank you for spending this time with me on Work Past the Record. If today's episode challenges you to think beyond simply having a job, I hope you'll share it with someone else who needs that encouragement, because there's plenty of people out there that do. Remember this: don't settle for getting hired. Don't settle for keeping the job. Build the career, build the reputation, build the future you deserve. Your first job is only the beginning. Keep learning, keep growing, keep moving forward, and as always, keep working past the record. Until next time, take care of yourself and never stop believing that your best chapters are still ahead. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Again, I'm your host, Lori Howard Wagner. I'm looking forward to seeing those goals. Bye.